There is a tarantula care guide on PetSmart's webpage, and it is bad. It is so bad. Hi, I'm Petko, and I love tarantulas. I'm not a professional keeper, I'm not a scientist or anything like that. I'm just a regular guy that really loves tarantulas and got them, keep them, and I know a thing or two about them. Even though tarantulas are kinda rarely being kept as a pet when you compare it to some more common animals like cats, dogs and reptiles or such, tarantulas are a niche pet, so to say, so I'm not super surprised to see some misinformation being written on the internet. But what surprised me, what actually shocks me, when someone who sells those animals, and it is actually a huge chain and big professional store, and for general public it is like the main source of information. Generally people will, when they want to buy an animal, they will go to a pet store, and there they will ask an employee the information about the animal. And even though things are slowly changing, people are starting to do a bit more research when it comes to getting some rare animals, some more exotic animals. The pet shops are unfortunately still the main source of information, and you cannot really blame people that are buying those animals, because if you go to a store that sells certain animals, it is not a crazy idea to assume that people over there know what they are doing and they will give you the right and correct information. But unfortunately, time and time again, it has been shown that it is just completely opposite, and this is now another case where PetSmart, I don't know if that is a new guide or an old guide, but it is a setup guide for scorpions and tarantulas. First of all, generalization in care is never a good thing, because when it comes to tarantulas, they are super easy to care when you compare them with some other exotic animals, but they still have a certain needs that vary from species to species. Some are arboreal, they need a tall enclosure. Some are terrestrial, they need an enclosure with more floor space. Some really love to dig, so they need a lot of substrate. Some need a lot of humidity, some need a bit less. So you cannot just generalize. But okay, later in the guide you see that it says 6 things to know about emperor scorpions or Chilean rose-hair tarantulas. So that means that this care guide is not for all tarantulas, but just Chilean rose-hair tarantula and emperor scorpions. So even though I'm not super familiar with how emperor scorpions are being kept, I assume that they need far more humid enclosure than rose-hair tarantula. But since I'm not 100% sure, I won't be commenting the emperor scorpion side of care in this care guide. I will just comment the tarantula care guide. So let's just go. Experience level advanced. Right from the get-go, wrong. Completely wrong. Tarantulas are actually super easy to care for. Once you set up the enclosure, that is basically it. You no longer need to have any other interaction with that tarantula besides once a week or even less. Feed it, and few times a month. When it comes to rose hair, a few times a month you will mist the enclosure and keep the water dish full. That is everything that needs to be done. So calling that an advanced care, not real. The next wrong information is that they grow up to 8 inches or 20 centimeters. If you get a rose hair tarantula and expect it to grow to that size, you will be greatly disappointed, because I believe they grow to like maybe 15 centimeters, and that would kind of be a stretch. I have a Sashenka, and she is, I think, more or less at her maximum size, and she's like maybe this big. She's mostly clumped up and big like this, and when she's stretched then it's like this, so maybe 15 centimeters when she is like fully stretched, but usually she is not fully stretched. I don't really know how the scorpions are big. Lifespan: females 15 years and males 5 to 6 years. That is somewhat correct information. I had a male and I had him for 5.5 years, I believe, so that's about it. And females, I believe they may be a bit longer, like 20 years, but okay, that is alright. Scorpions and tarantulas are arachnids, part of the spider family. Yes, I guess, yeah. They are venomous, at least they are using the correct word. Tarantulas can bite and scorpions sting with their tail. Okay, this is good. This is good when they say that tarantulas can bite, because they can bite. They won't bite, but of course you need to be aware that they will bite if they, I don't know, think that your finger is a food, or if you poke them too much. Did you know they mold their exoskeleton as they grow? Yes, a fun fact. How do I set up my Chilean rose hair tarantulas? Home. This is where things start to escalate. Rose hair tarantulas prefer the single life, that's true. Keep your arachnids in terrarium of at least 10 gallons. I'm not really familiar with 10 gallons. I think that is like this big enclosure, right? That is slightly too big. For example, this is Sashenka's enclosure, and the enclosure is 30 by 25 by 25, and you can see, let me just grab the other camera. Now here you go, this is not really a 20 centimeter tarantula, right? I have a meter, so so if you put it like this, you see she's usually not even 10 centimeters big, let alone 20. I mean, imagine if she was 20, she would be using half of this enclosure, but no, you see that this enclosure that is 30 centimeters wide, it is more than big enough for her. So therefore there is really no point into getting a enclosure that is bigger than this. Definitely no point. Line the terrarium with 2 or 3 inches of coconut fiber or reptile bedding. Coconut fiber, yes, but reptile bedding, I think that if the reptile bedding are those big chunks, you know, then those aren't really good for tarantula. You want to have a coco fiber. Remove droppings frequently. Tarantula droppings aren't really a thing usually. Terrestrial tarantulas, they will poop in between the glass and the substrate, and that will be like just white stuff that you usually won't even notice, while arboreal tarantulas, they got a tendency to poop on the front lid, and that they just make a nasty stain. So there is not really droppings that you can pick up, but when tarantula is done with eating its prey, there will be like I can actually show also that, because I fed tarantulas yesterday. This is Kate, the Petsalteria metallica, and you see she ate her big roach, and this is the leftover that you get that you need to pick up, but that is only after the feeding, and this is something that is left over after a bigger roach. But if you are feeding tarantula once a week, or for example Sashenka, since she is an adult, I feed her usually once per month. So once per month you need to pick up that left over, and that's everything. Include branches or plants in the habitat. Be sure plants are safe and not treated with chemicals. That's 100% sure. Add rock, branches or other hiding place on the side of the habitat that will become the cool side. Cool side, warm side, they don't really need that, but it won't hurt if you have a cooler side and warmer side in the enclosure. But if you are adding rocks to your enclosure, you need to be, I'm hearing Despacito. If you're adding bigger rocks, you need to be aware that tarantula, they can dig under the rock, and then that rock can fall on them and squish them. So if you are adding big rocks, make sure that they are on the bottom of the enclosure, that there is no substrate that tarantula can dig under that rock. So yeah, do that. And I almost missed this part. Completely change out the bedding once a month. No. I set up this enclosure like, I think last year. Still same substrate inside. All those enclosures, they have the original substrate when I built that enclosure, when I set up that enclosure. There is no really need to change the substrate unless there is some mold issue or something like that. Otherwise the substrate is fine for who knows how long, but I can understand why they want pet shop wants you to change substrate every month, because you come to them and buy that substrate from them. So of course, yeah, change it once a month and come and buy more substrate from us. That is completely understandable business model. And you see shop terrariums and shop bedding, and I don't know why bedding just sounds wrong. It's substrate, not bedding. Rose hair tarantulas hail from Latin America, that's Chile, yeah. of course. Both arachnids thrive in tropical habitats. Not so. She prefers it a bit drier, unlike emperor scorpions, of course. Your tarantula's terrarium should be warmer on one side and cooler on the other. No, that's not the case. Keep the warm side between. You can forget about all the temperatures, everything. Forget about that. If you are fine in the room where you have your tarantula, that means the tarantula is fine. That is the only rule that you need to remember. Use an under tank heater to heat the warm side. Now we are getting to the dangerous portion of this guide. This is a big no-no for tarantulas because they will usually dig in the substrate and then they will reach the spot where you have the under tank heater and there will be significantly warmer. Tarantulas, they don't really feel, I don't know if that's like 100% sure, but that is what is commonly known in the hobby, that tarantulas, they don't really feel the pain from the heat, so they will usually just dry and die from the dehydration because of the warmth and everything. So yeah, and also what is a problem, if you put the under tank heater without a thermostat, then underneath the temperature will be significantly higher than it will be in the enclosure, and you will assume that temperature is not too high, but underneath that substrate, when tarantula reaches the glass, it will be super high down there. That is something that you should definitely avoid. No heat mats, no heat lamps, nothing. Just put it in the warm room where you are, where you feel comfortable, and that's everything that you need. But I can understand also the philosophy behind that, because once again, pet shops, they want to sell you more stuff. They want to sell you the heat mat. They don't want to tell you that you don't need that. They want to tell you that you need that. And also, you need to monitor the temperature with thermometer on each side of the terrarium. So you also need to buy the thermostat, of course. The terrarium humidity level should be 50 to 80%. That is also a thing that you don't really need to worry about. You just mist 2 times per month the one side of the enclosure and let it completely dry out, and that is all that they need. And also keep the water dish inside that is always full. Then if it is too dry for the tarantula, she will have the option to go to that water bowl and drink if she really needs the additional hydration. Other than that, she will be completely fine. You certainly don't need the humidity gauge. You certainly don't need that. Tarantulas need 12 hours of light a day, however they really get their party on at night, that's true. A special night viewing bulb will allow you to observe them with a minimum disturbance. Of course, shop lighting, you need that special night viewing bulb because the light on your cell phone will disturb them. Look, whoa, she's so disturbed, oh no, she's running away. Yeah, so annoying. What do tarantulas eat? Crickets, mealworms, and occasional waxworms. Sounds about right. Feed your arachnids once every day or 2 at night. To repeat once again, I feed Sashenka once per month with 1 roach. It's a big roach, but it is once per month. You can do that like 2 times per month with smaller prey item, but you certainly don't need to feed it every day or 2. Only offer as much food as your scorpion or tarantula can consume by morning. Remove any leftovers. Okay. Now this is the area where we enter the stupid zone. Dust insects with calcium supplements twice a week and reptile multivitamins once a week. Do you know how spiders eat their prey? If you're not a big fan of spiders, it is understandable that you don't know that, but you would assume that people writing these guides know that and are aware of that fact, because tarantulas, they will bite their prey. I mean spiders in general, they will bite their prey and inject the venom. And what that venom does, it kills the prey and also it liquefies its insides. And then tarantula will just slurp that from the prey. If you dust the cricket from outside, how will that dust get into a tarantula if tarantula is just sucking the insides from? You see that it doesn't work. Even if those vitamins would be beneficial to tarantula will still not introduce them inside of her if you dust the prey. So this is just, once again, they want your money, nothing else. Just give them money and buy supplements, buy everything that they are... Okay, I'm hating this. Your arachnid should have access to shallow bowl of clean, fresh water at all times. Yes, that's a good common practice. I don't do that always because... But yeah, it is the safest option to do that. How do I keep my tarantula healthy? Let your new arachnid settle in for 3 or 4 days before picking it up. Don't pick up your arachnid. I mean, you can, but it should be a minimal. They should be viewed as observational animals, and just as fish, you won't pick up fish to enjoy the fish, right? You just have it in the aquarium and observe it and enjoy it, right? Same thing goes for tarantulas, although they don't really do much. As you see, she didn't really move. Yeah, just be aware of that. After your scorpion or tarantula is settled in, contact a veterinarian if you notice any of these symptoms of distress. Eating or drinking less. Tarantula will often stop eating for extended period of time, even though sometimes it can be a warning sign. Often they will just refuse food for whatever reasons, and in case they are preparing to molt, to grow, they also will be refusing food. So like 99% of the time, if tarantula refuses food, it's nothing major, nothing to worry about. Swollen joints. How do they have a swollen? I don't know. I keep tarantulas for now 6 years and I have a bunch of them and I never spotted a swollen joint. So I'm not really sure about that information. Loss of limbs. Tarantulas can pull their legs and then they seal off the joint where they... Well, I don't know the terminology, but spiders, they can lose leg intentionally and they can regrow it on next molt. So if they lose a limb, it is nothing to worry about, they will just regrow it. Decreased activity, more time spent hiding. Tarantulas, you can get them, the tarantula will make a burrow, close off the burrow and you won't see it for 6 months, and that is completely normal because they are burrowing animals and they do that. You don't need to take it to a veterinarian because of that. Pet safety tips: use caution when handling pets and remember they may bite. Keep those interactions to minimum. I only handle my tarantulas, some of the tarantulas, when I'm doing a rehouse, and mostly just for the video so you can see the tarantula better or something, but generally I don't really go and pick up the tarantula from its enclosure because they don't like it, they don't benefit from it, and they will just try to run away, so why do it anyway? Scorpions and tarantulas are typically mild-tempered but can inflict venom. Yes and no, depends on the tarantula species and depends on the personality of each individual tarantula. It greatly varies. You cannot say my rose hair is super calm, so if you get a rose hair, yours will also be super calm. It doesn't work like that. All animals can potentially carry viral, bacterial, fungal and parasitic disease contagious to humans. I'm not really sure. I mean, they are different than humans and I'm not really sure if there are diseases that are transmitted, but it's not that I actually know that, so I won't be commenting on that. Thoroughly wash your hands with warm soapy water before and after contact. Yes, that's always a good idea. Adults should assist children with hand wash. Yeah, I guess, yes. Or maybe even better idea, don't let children handle tarantulas, because tarantulas, they are unpredictable animals and you don't want unpredictable animal together with an unpredictable child, because children are also unpredictable. Editing Petko here, just quick information. The pre-orders for shirt and calendars are over, but I will be ordering a couple of extra ones, so in case you missed the pre-orders, there will still be a chance for you later in few weeks. And also I noticed that due to a mistake, some of the shirts, some of the sizes weren't available for the pre-order, so I will also be ordering those shirts, a few more, and they will be also available for the order. So sorry about that if you weren't able to get a shirt in the size that you preferred. So yeah, back to the video. Okay, this was painful, right? That's all. It is not like tarantulas are a new thing in the hobby. The care is really well known and commonly known, so I don't understand how people that are paid for doing stuff like that can get so many information wrong and so many information that can actually hurt your animal. Imagine if they have a guide for how to keep cat, and then inside of that guide they have something that can potentially kill your cat, and they have it written as you should do something that can potentially hurt or kill that cat. People would be super outraged. The same thing is with heat mat, but it is understandable that tarantulas aren't really that cute and fuzzy to majority of people. It is to us spider keepers, but to majority of people they are just some creatures that are out there to get you. So I'm really sad that stuff like this exists, and I hope that the situation will be better, will get better in future. Yeah. So with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you didn't get too much triggered by it if you are a spider person and if you love these fuzzy little creatures. Yeah, I upload them Monday and Friday. To see you again soon. Bye bye.